if they're unable to break past 10 to 20K on their own, and they're already using Google Ads, but they can't get past that point, then it's very likely that they just lack the knowledge or expertise.
Yes.
So
for a single product, I would say. So
yeah. So even if they do have multiple products, you may still find that when you analyze the search terms, there's a lot of wasted spend on negative keywords and where they're not leveraging negative keywords. So I guess that's one thing you're going to want us to do is analyze the search terms.
Yes.
And also initially look at the leading metrics. You mentioned search impression share there, which ultimately determines how often your ad is being shown based on how likely it is, how often it could be shown. So normally a good way to get around search impression share is optimizing your search titles, like you mentioned, or your product titles rather, based on the search terms, so that you're more likely to show or get a better position then for search terms that people are looking for when the search term matches the search keywords that you're using in your product titles. Additionally to that, increasing your bids to get more visibility.
Yes.
Is there anything outside of search impression share that you'd look at as a leading metric when it comes to just a business in that position? Or would you go sort out your search impression share first, make sure there's no wasted spend on search terms? That's going to immediately get you in a better position. Are there any other leading metrics you'd look for? Obviously.
Yeah, well, what I would say is search impression share. If your search impression share is high, but you're thinking, okay, my search impression share is high, but I'm actually not getting that much traffic, it means that you're likely visible for the wrong things. And the way that you know that is with your CTR. If your CTR is low, let's just say sub 1%, and your search impression share is high, it just means you're bidding in the wrong market. Your price point maybe is out of whack compared to the market, which you'll be able to see by going into the auction insights, and you'll be able to see who are the brands you're competing with, or just searching for the highest impression search term that you have in your search term report. But really, the goal initially is how can I get as much traffic, cost-effective traffic, and the highest conversion rate. Like, not all of those things, unfortunately, work together, but try to get your search impression share up whilst maintaining a steady 1% and above CTR, which will ultimately give you more traffic. Try not to use automated bidding too much in the beginning because Google's going to bump you up there. And to be honest, if you don't have that many conversions, you wouldn't be able to anyway. But let's just say you get to the point in which you can, make sure, do a experiment, but make sure you're not now overspending. And a really good metric to look at for this is if you switch to automated bidding and your CPCs skyrocket or go up by a fair amount and your search impression share stays the same, it means you're literally now just spending 10 times more, however much more, multiples more for the same volume of traffic. Okay, so that's same volume of impressions, less traffic. So I think that's very important. So search impression share monitors, and then you know how much of the market you have at your disposal. CTR to ensure that you're actually bidding on the right search terms and you're in the right market, relevant to your product, price point, whatever. And make sure that your bids aren't too high in which you can generate sales profitably, and you're not limiting or sacrificing profit at such a low revenue, because as you scale, it's going to get tighter and tighter and tighter. The market is going to get more competitive, meaning they're likely to bid more, and they've probably tracked all of these other metrics, LTV, so they'll bid more on that front end because they don't care. They know the whole sales cycle. So I would say between 10 to 20K, I would start on just making sure that you're as visible as you possibly can. If you've got a single product, then really just analyze your search terms. If you have multiple products, analyze your search terms. But what we tend to find is when people add a lot of products to Google, Google does its very best to test all of them and find where you have the most value within the ad account. But unfortunately, Google's not always the best at doing that. Sometimes you have to nudge it in the right direction. I'd say sometimes, most of the time. So what I would do is really diving deep into kind of scripts, sorry to go on a rant, but scripts, and be able to pull all of the data from outside the Google Ads account, because bear in mind, Google has built this platform in a specific way, so you focus on specific things, but sometimes those things don't matter as much as you think they do. So pulling the data outside, using scripts, pull it into sheets, we have that type of thing available. Pull that type of stuff out so you can see all of your product data and segment them based on your return on ad spend, right? So then let's just say, for instance, you've got 100, 200, 300, 500 plus, 1,000 plus products. That's very hard for someone, especially if you're just you or even an agency, to analyze all of those. Like, you've got to think that takes a lot of time, and no one really spends all of that time doing that. So pull the data out, use a script to give it custom commands. Okay, I want to see all of my products over the last 30 days that have generated above a 5x ROAS, and I want to tier them incrementally. So things that are 25% to 500%, 50% below, and then above, right? And then what you can do, and what we tend to do initially, especially if there's loads of products, is analyze that. You've got thousands of products here. You've actually only got 7 or 8 or 10 products that are actually generating you above the target return on ad spend. If you just grab all of those and put them into their own campaign, put all of these other ones in a separate one and test them, then now you've increased your return on ad spend while still doing what you wanted to do, which is validate your other products. And now you have room to scale. So it's just really trying to narrow your focus below that kind of 50K mark. And then as you get to 50K and above, you can start to broaden it up and scale. But Google is an algorithm. It needs all of these data points to be able to operate in the right way. And if you keep feeding it loads of rubbish, it's going to keep giving that back to you.